Hi there, commercial construction coffee talk fans. My name's David Corson. I'm your host, and also the publisher and editor of Commercial Construction and Renovation magazine. Welcome to our podcast this afternoon. I'm sitting here with this young man, Clinton Brooks Herman, with UTHealth out of Houston, Texas. Say hi, Mr. Brooks.
Whoop.
Yep, there you go. Brooks is, I've known Brooks a long time. He's been on my editorial board and he's been in construction and so forth, but I thought that he would be a great interview this afternoon as he can talk about public partnership, private gigs that are going on within the country, as well as his history and what he foresees coming down the pike, especially with these uncertain times. So with that, welcome, Brooks. Thanks for fitting me into your busy schedule. I know it was tough looking at your calendar. I know you're really busy, so we really appreciate you giving us a few minutes. Give us a little feedback on where you're from, where you went to school, how you ended up in Houston, all that.
All right. David, thanks again for letting me join y'all, and looking forward to watching this as it comes out into fruition some more. Commercial construction coffee talk is definitely of interest to myself, so I was glad to be able to join you. Again, David said, I'm Clinton Brooks Herman. I'm at UTHealth Houston right now as a senior facilities construction project manager, but going back a few years, I actually am a Fighting Texas Aggie class of 2009. That's why I said whoop earlier instead of hello. So gig 'em.
Go Aggies, 12th man. Mm-hmm.
Gig 'em. I actually did the construction science degree there and was in and out 4 years and did an internship actually with K through 12 general contractors, and just definitely found my home and eventually rolled into the ownership side. But jumping into that, I first started with WRL General Contractors, which is another K through 12 general contractor in the East Texas area, and kind of floated between DFW, Marble Falls, Longview, kind of all over Texas. But both my internship as well as my time with WRL, they were privately held commercial contractors, and one of them was family owned. But unfortunately, there's always these down times, but there was a recession, and I did take a little bit of a delay in there to find my next job, but that's where I was able to roll into the owner's role. And that's really where I felt like I hit the ground running and started growing very quickly. Francesca's actually reached out to me, women's retailer. I know they've been involved with CCR with David for years, and it's where David and I met for the first time.
Sure.
I was with them for 3.5 years and actually helped roll out about 100 of their frontline stores, their outlets, corporate projects. We worked on a gym inside for the employees, so just kind of all over the board with them, and really gained my role there. So as long with
a lot of stores in a short amount of time.
Very quick. We were pumping out 100 at a time. So from there, though, I actually jumped over and got out of the small box world and went to the big box realm, or large box, and jumped over to Academy Sports and Outdoors, based in Texas as well, and managed about 20 of their ground ups tilt wall construction, as well as kind of developed their program to expand and remodel existing stores at the exact same time, which had never been done before. So that was back in 2014. And that pace was definitely unique. It was much slower than the turn and burn Francesca's 6 to 8 weeks. So that was quite the learning curve.
100 times the square footage too.
Yeah. It was definitely different. So
sure.
Yep. Oddly enough, though, I did not know this, but Indiana provided out a tilt wall. Um, what was it? A tilt wall award. So it was like the #1 tilt wall project in all of Indiana in 2012 or 2015, excuse me. So that was definitely interesting, but helped them grow to over 200 stores while I was there. And then the call came from my current leader, and definitely wouldn't change anything. And I'm at UTHealth again, Houston. Uh, the long name is University of Texas Health Science Center at Houston, and it's the original UTHealth among the systems. So that has been different because now I'm working from the being on the private side to now public entity, and it's definitely been unique, but a ton of fun, and they definitely support myself and my growth, as well as uh, anyone else that to keep us moving forward. I've received my project management professional from PMI because of the support from my leaders. I've also received the certified educational facility planner because of the support of my leaders, and it's been the greatest thing. And I recently got accepted and start my international MBA coming up in May. So it's coming around the corner here real quick. So with that, I actually, while I was here, learned about another group that kind of mixes well with CCR, but COA, Construction Owners Association of America, and we've tried to do some joint things, David and I, with COA. I think it's working out and beneficial for both of us in that realm, and I'm actually their Vice President of Emerging Professionals for the Texas group. So that's been a lot of fun while I've been also joining David on the editorial board for CCR magazine. So,
and you're getting married, correct?
oh boy, yes, and I'm getting married. That has been definitely experience with COVID-19, but our relationship seems to tie in very well with large storms or large issues. We officially started dating during Hurricane Harvey in Houston, and then I asked her to marry me in a named blizzard. I've drawn a blank on the name right now, but named blizzard out in New Mexico. They got 2 feet of snow, and now we have COVID-19 that is definitely causing some fun for our May 23rd date. So
Hey,
that's
I bet you planning your wedding has been the toughest project than any of the construction projects you've been on.
it. It has
Come
been.
on now. I mean, I got married, so I understand. I know.
Well, and she asked me all the questions, and it's like, man, I've already dealt with all the questions from work, and I don't know about this. This isn't my cup of tea. So, but it's definitely going to be interesting, and I think it's going to be a mix of Zoom and Facebook streaming. So we'll see how that all goes, and talk about that on the next one.
Hey, listen, my wife, she's married, and before, and I wanted to have a small wedding, and I thought I was going to have 10 people, 20, 30, and then it ended up being almost 100. And I decided, you know what? I'm not going that way. When I got married on a cruise ship, I had 9 people show up, and a month later we had a kegger, and everybody had a great time. And timing does things to everything, whether it's business or personal. But you could, planning a wedding is just like a construction project. You've got all different suppliers, you've got deadlines, F&B, all these different things. So your construction background definitely probably helped in this. And now with the coronavirus debacle, causing everything, people don't even think, what about graduations? What about weddings? What about all of these different things that people have to figure out how they're going to get things done. Here in Georgia, they're trying to figure out when they're going to have graduations or the masters. Now they're going to do it in the fall. So everything's in flux, and the project management is a key thing. It just is. It is.
Yep, we have to keep things moving forward. So definitely some fun.
Well, let's talk about. I've got my cheat sheets here that I'm looking at, but so we stay on schedule. Let's talk about how the coronavirus has affected, your daily schedule. Obviously things have changed um, with any construction project, whether it's outdoor, indoor, with subs, obviously UTH has, you've got the administrators involved. There's a little more red tape. You've got infection control going on. Talk about that difference, as far as what's going on there.
So with our group, we've kind of hit it in stride. I think we had a great learning experience during Hurricane Harvey. We were able to turn everything around in 5 days for the most part. Majority of the campus was actively going again. So, but with that, most of us are working remotely. We do split time. We share with the different PMs, make sure that each of us get our own projects, check on them. If there's we need a firefighter, we've got them on site, so we can get in there and somebody will do it. I was there this morning. So, but honestly, we're used to driving around campus, grabbing one of our state vehicles, and we have a pretty expanded campus. We're not condensed. We're a city campus, as most are you get to see. So you need that car, and we're finding out though that FaceTime and Zoom meetings, WebEx has actually made some things productive.
Absolutely.
Meetings that are taking an hour normally in person because people are jibber jabbing, we're at 20 minutes, 10 minutes, just getting in, getting out, moving on. Everybody wants to keep moving forward. So, but this experience has actually put me back into my roots, like I was doing at Francesca's and Academy for 6.5 years. And that's, you don't always get to see your job site all the time. And you've got to roll with the punches and keep moving forward. So this has definitely been an experience in training us. I think a lot of us are becoming some Zoom experts. But like, I've got a little bit of a joke, but learning how to Zoom with the teams and hang out in the WebExes. So that's a play on words with the Google Hangouts we have to do and the Microsoft Teams. And so it's been unique. I think there's parties out there that have never dealt with any of these programs, maybe FaceTime here and there, but it's definitely figuring out how to utilize it best. So
tell me, from how big is the UTH campus, square footage wise?
So our facilities group manages about 6 million square feet, and that's across 13 buildings. It's in the Texas Medical Center, which is the largest in the world. And we have those different buildings, and we're required to keep those moving forward. We have the maintenance teams that are constantly on site even during this. They've reduced their manpower a little bit, but we have to maintain the functionality and clean environments.
How many projects do you think you have going on a daily basis around the campus, if you had to guess? And you don't have to divulge that. I'm just curious, because you've got so much going on. I mean, you just submitted one of your projects for our magazine for our awards, the student lounge. And so I was just curious on how many projects you think you have rolling on a daily basis.
I'd say, at least 20 to 40 at any one time, but.
And all different square footage. It could be minimal or major.
It could be just changing out an air handler. It could be switching out the main switch gear. I know we've got our 800,000, well, it's almost 1 million square feet, medical school that is changing out all the air handlers and doing an indoor air quality project there too. So they've got a lot going on. I'm down at one of our admin buildings, working on switching out the air handlers there, as well as we're upgrading the elevators to make sure they function properly. So some of the things we didn't have to worry about as much in the retail realm while I was there, I'm definitely learning about while I'm in the large infrastructure projects. So
well, sure. Well, listen, HVAC is, it's energy. It's, it's got a lot to do with the infection, et cetera, in the hospitals in general. Um, the eh, Looking at retail and looking at the, the hospitals and so forth, healthcare, I should say, there's a big difference because you've got the administrators that you have to deal with, and a little more red tape because it is public and there's some investment, but there is some public-private partnerships that go on. Talk about how that is a little different from the commercial sector that you came from.
So it's not necessarily, we don't flow into the P3 too much. We do have some counterparts in the state entities, which is the public-private partnerships. But some of the differences on my end with the public-private entities is we both have procurement groups. We all know you got to go through procurement, you got to go through legal. It's all there, but the extent of their rules is our biggest difference, and where we kind of flow. I mean, on the private side, only major recurring projects really went through procurement. So we didn't necessarily, when we were bidding out a GC, you didn't worry about it as often. You still had to do the proper procedures, but the fixtures, store fixtures, the lighting, light fixtures we would be changing out, those were required to go through procurement because they knew those parts and pieces and how much it should be versus a general contractor. I mean, we have to know we're working Atlanta today and New York City tomorrow and back to Los Angeles or Houston. So it's all over the board when it comes to the private side with my retail experience. So we could have any vendor could actually provide us a proposal. It wasn't mixed up where you couldn't, anyone could provide a proposal. So
Sure.
on the public side though, all contracts make their way through our procurement group. And they have to review every detail. They look for little words on whether it's a time and material or an emergency work, anything along those lines. And they're definitely looking for the different expenditures to figure out if we use the right procurement method. But all vendors have to be in good standing with the university along with the state of Texas for us. But that allows us to open up the bids to anybody if it's under a certain dollar amount. That it's a lower threshold, but we can kind of go to anybody we want. Then we have the next threshold, which is informal bids, and that's performed by the project manager. And we can solicit to whoever we have a list of, as long as they're, again, in good standing with the university and the state. Then we have two other or bid styles that go out through our procurement group, which are what we call ITBs and RFPs, which are intent to bid and a request for proposal, depending on what we're looking for. If we just need a quick turnaround and we want the best price and the best schedule that wins, that's an ITB typically. And if we know it's a more in-depth project, we're going to be dealing with a lot of different end users. We're going to be going through different buildings, the mechanical rooms, then to the labs, then to the classrooms. We have to go through the RFP process. We'll have specific questions. How would you handle this? And depending upon their response, they're, I don't want to say rated, but they're scored.
Sure.
To see who's going to be the best choice, and we'll know what to do in the situations that we have at hand.
Hey, competition makes the world go round. There's nothing.
Oh, yeah.
You want to be the best, you got to play with the best.
Yes, sir.
You know?
Definitely. So, and both those types, though, are posted to the public, and anyone can go out there and find it. It just goes back to our whether or not they're in good standing, which most everyone knows who they are. And
do you think there's more paperwork involved? From your Academy, Francesca's days to UTH, or is it just different because there's a little more involved?
I'd say that there's probably more paperwork that is handled on the public side behind the scenes outside of my view.
Yeah, sure.
um, that there's definitely some items that go through. There's a lot of budget checks that have to occur and make sure that there is the funding, where that funding's coming from, and so forth.
Where do you see UTH coming out of the, once the economy gets opened, depending on what phase you're in, and we're hoping that sooner rather than later. Where do you
Knock on
see?
wood.
Yeah, knock on wood. Here you go. Where does UTH? Where are they thinking there as far as their parameters are going to be, and coming out of the shutdown or the partial shutdown in your case? What's their thinking? How are they going to adapt to the new normal, as I guess that's the buzzword that they say.
Yes. So the university is open and operational right now. So we have
They're
not
essential.
slowed that down.
Mm-hmm.
Our students are still actively attending courses. Granted, they might be WebEx, Zoom, Google
Mm-hmm.
Teams, any of the such. But we do have patient care still ongoing as well with our UT physicians, and they're doing a lot more telemedicine. It is definitely limited on who is going into the offices, trying to reduce anybody having exposure. So most employees right now really aren't on campus. I think we're floating around 250 around our 6 million square feet on average on a daily basis. So it's kind of limited right now, and definitely unique when you're on there. It's a ghost
Mm-hmm.
town, but we still have construction projects going on, and we're just waiting to see what happens when the stay-home orders are lifted. But UTHealth will be doing their research on what they're going to deem as being safe for the employees and the students to return back.
Have you had to on your construction personnel? Are they wearing masks, gloves? Do you have to have put in washing stations? What kind of adaptations have you had to put into your daily construction?
So we have all of our construction guys, as well as anyone that attends our campus at this point in time, does have to wear a mask. It doesn't have to be an N95 or surgical mask. It just needs to be a cloth or something to cover and reduce the spread.
And yours is an Aggies one, I'm sure.
Actually, surprisingly not.
Okay, well, you got to get one now. Come on.
Gonna have to work on that one. So we have added hand sanitizer stations at all our major entries at all of our buildings around campus, and we constantly keep those filled up. And our housekeeping group is going around making sure that all the buttons are wiped down, and we have actually added extra housekeeping just for all of our high traffic items, handrails, doorknobs, elevator buttons, and restrooms, and those were already getting cleaned multiple times a day, and we've just gone one more step further to ensure that this does not spread. So, but we have our maintenance guys keeping our research active. They are making sure that none of our steam lines are going down, none of our vacuum and pumps. They keep moving forward and making sure that all the researchers can do whatever they're allowed to do right now. So,
what's been your most exciting project at UTHealth that you've finished or completed?
All right, so finished project. 2018, I was able to finalize the decommissioning of a cyclotron. The details of what that machine does is a little beyond me, but I had to work with our environmental health and safety group and the Department of Safety and Health Services in Texas at the Texas state level in order to decommission this once radioactive device. And we had to make sure that we'd gotten everything out of there so that we could actually convert the space to be utilized, whether it be for storage, offices. I think right now they're using it for storage. But then this last summer, I got to work with the students at our medical school. And I think David alluded to it earlier, but our student lounge project, they used to be, I don't know, probably an 800 square foot student lounge in the basement. And we got them moved up to the ground floor. They've got some great windows. I think they've acquired a ping pong table, a foosball table,
Yeah, I love
and
foosball.
a nice little center to break away, heat up some lunch, and take a break, or even just study in there. And it's definitely quiet and off the beaten path. So they get to do what doctors do, or potential doctors do.
Sure. If a person wanted to say make a change, like you went from the retail world into the healthcare side of things, what would you suggest to them? Because obviously after this pandemic is over, pharmaceutical construction and healthcare, they're going to build more beds in the United States. It's inevitable.
Yeah.
We have a healthcare magazine. I know that they understand sector or building, industrial buildings and so forth to get into the healthcare side of things. How would you suggest them to go about that?
I think right now, with all the online learning that people are throwing at you to do for free or at discounted rates, I'd get into it. I mean, I even go into the CCR events. I would go and speak with all the different vendors to see what they had going on in any industry. It wasn't just retail. You've got to stay tuned with construction in general. You don't really want to, just because we're doing retail today doesn't mean we won't be doing healthcare tomorrow, or jumping over to oil and gas. And there's a lot of natural gas projects going on
Oh,
around
sure.
here, I believe, south of Houston now. So, but it's just being open. Don't segment yourself. Don't say, "Oh, I only do retail." Well, no, we're owners, and we're in construction, and all the bolts add up. We may just have to, instead of using an split system, we might have to have an air handler, and we might have chilled water instead of just a little condenser system. So um, just be open to any learning possibilities right now.
Just like the retail world, it's a small community. Everybody
It
knows
is.
each other. I'm sure the same thing, with healthcare. There are a bunch of guys that own most of it, and then you're going to have all these medical clinics, and so reputation's key. You want to do a good job, word of mouth, referral, and the opportunity for growth. Just like yourself, you're a young.
Definitely reach out to the people you know. David's got a lot of contacts, and everybody else we meet at these conferences. You never know, one, just because it's not David's best friend that's helping you out, but his best friend may know somebody. So you definitely do want to keep your name above board and make sure people know who you are. You're not throwing it in their face, but you definitely want to be forward with it.
Well, myself, I mean, I'm not doom and gloom. So I look at the glass half full. There are plenty of construction projects that are going on.
Yes.
It's going to come back. I definitely think on the healthcare and the pharmaceutical side, there's going to be a major boom. Permitting probably is the thing that's going to bog things down with red tape. Hopefully that can be solved. But I know a lot of those guys are doing the same thing that you're doing, on Zoom and so forth. So they're trying to keep that cog out of the wheel, and the wheel spinning, so to
Yes.
speak. And I think that a lot of people, listen, a lot of people have been laid off and furloughed, call it what you want. Hopefully things will come back, but I think it's really going to be an exciting time once the shutdown ends and
Yes.
construction gets back. I know
Agreed.
everybody's going to be fighting for the subs, trying to get them, whether you're an electrician, a plumber, or HVAC installer. It's going to be open season, and you know how tough it is to hire good people, because there's a
Yes.
shortage of labor. and they're,
There is.
and for those of you out there, if you have kids, tell them to go learn a trade.
Yes.
You could become a plumber, become an HVAC person, learn to work with your hands. You'd be amazed of not only how much fun you'll have, but as well as the appreciation of getting things accomplished. I just did my deck over the last 3 weeks. I just finished the rails this weekend. My wife's like, "Do you ever think you should, I'm like, I come from a construction family, but I hadn't done carpentry work in a while. But
Yeah.
My son's like, "Do you want to help?" No, I'm just going to do it. I did the stairs, I did the planks, I did the rails, and it's finished. And I looked down, and I said, "Wow, that was really invigorating."
It clears your mind.
Yeah. And, listen, with the right tools, and you can do anything.
Oh, yeah.
And you learn from your mistakes. I started the deck. I was like, oh, maybe I should have done it that way, and maybe start on the other side, and trying to figure out how to get some of these nails out of some of the other posts. I was like, why did that guy put the nails there? What was he thinking? And so I was just laughing, but I had fun. And,
Yep.
there's no sports on TV, so I had time to kill. And, on the weekends, normally I'd be coaching or playing lacrosse and doing something, but now
There's nothing wrong with trades, and we need them.
Yeah, my son, he's becoming an FAA mechanic, and he's graduating this summer, and he's going to school, and he was a waiter. He's laid off. They shut his restaurant down, and so he's doing his online and getting ready for his final for this summer to get his AMP license. And he just said that what am I going to do, Dad, about with the airline? Like, look, the airlines are going to come back. That's
Yep.
major component of the economy. So don't you worry. You just keep your head straight, blinders on, graduate, and you'll be working with your hands, no doubt. Whether it's on sheet metal or maybe one day when you're flying, you're going to see Brody Corson walking down the road with his flag on his thing. It's like, oh my God, that's Corson's kid. So
Yeah.
But like I said, if you have a kid out there, let him work with his hands, do a trade, because Brooks can hire you, or one of our contractors can hire you, and in all these different industries, they're looking for people. And
we are looking.
Welders, plumbers, everything. Come in. We want you. Yeah. Well, Brooks, we've known each other a long time.
Yes, sir. It has been.
I appreciate you being on the board. I appreciate you sticking with me for all these years. And what's nice is, I met you when you were really young. You were fresh out there, but
the grays are starting to come in.
Yeah. Well, that'll do it to you as you get more important in business and so forth. I mean, look, I've been growing my Corona beard here. It's coming in a little silver, but I trimmed it up. I trimmed it today because it gets, I was looking like Grizzly Adams. I was like, you got to trim that thing. I said, I'm not going to cut it off until the coronavirus is done. So
there you go.
So whenever you see me on the podcast and my beard's going, that the shutdown's over.
We're cleared.
Rock and roll. So, well, coffee talk fans out there, we thank you for tuning in. We appreciate Brooks Herman for giving his insights on what's going down on UTH down in Texas. Look for this podcast to be loaded up on the web on our social media platforms. If you'd like to be a guest or even a sponsor of our show, you can reach me at my email at davidc@ccr-mag.com, or you can catch me on my mobile. I'm just north of Atlanta, up by Lake Lanier. You can catch me at 404-931-6569. And if you're not a magazine subscriber, go to our magazine site at ccr-mag.com, hit the subscribe button, and we'll add you to the mailing list. We're actually going to do a follow-up article with Brooks in a couple of issues down the road on things that he's doing there at UTH with public and private. So we're going to take this a little further, more in depth. So keep an eye out for that as well. With that said, I want you to stay positive, stay safe, wash your hands, and laugh. Have some fun.
Oh, yeah.
There's light at the end of the tunnel. We're all going to get through this, and we're going to come out stronger and better than ever before. So keep the faith. Brooks, you're the man. Thank you so much for giving us your insight and finding time in your busy schedule. All right?
Hey, thanks for the time, David. Appreciate it.
Take care, all right? We'll talk to you soon.